on this weekend's adventures. Got this truck from a buddy of mine. Real good buddy of my neighbor's, which the motor's still sitting there. He's gonna pick it up, I think, the first when he gets back from the races. Got this from his buddy. And it's a 2007 250. And he was leaving a race or a boat kind of get together. And he went up and over some rocks leaving it. Sun hit his eye, went up and over rocks, and I'll insert some pictures later, but this bumper was up and the lower cross member was folded under, took the core support with it. But really most of the damage was all the steering linkage. So you see the X on there. It's actually for the bumper. The bumper was trashed. But yeah, the drag link, the adjustment arm or adjusting center sleeve, both rod ends shot. But then, you know, anything that got scratched, like that panhard bar. I mean, it got scratched right there, but nothing's bent. You know, even the end link on it is good. I was gonna change it, but it's good. But I mean, it's got scratched, so it got marked. You know, they're just gonna junk the whole front end on this thing. And I mean, there was multiple things. This fender and the hood, there was a gap here. Because when the core support got folded, it kind of bent and pushed that out a little bit. But went through and, you know, got a bunch of parts and got everything replaced, except for the ball joints. Took it down to get an alignment, and we could tell that this wheel had a little bit of camber to it. And looking up in there, you'd see it's just at a weird kind of angle in there. So I know they make the alignment bushing kit for these. You can get them in different degrees for caster and camber. However, I think it's going to be fine. When it's done, I could take it back. I'm going to get the guy a 18 pack of beer and put it back on the rack, and we could make sure it's good. But that's the only thing that was out. It was, so the wheel end, I can't remember if that's positive or negative. I believe it's positive. It was positive 1 degree camber. Jacked it up, moved the wheel around. It's tight, but you could tell it's crooked, like it has one of those alignment shims in it. Something. So if it does, it got twisted and whatever. But it's a clean truck. It's got 170,000 on it. But this guy kept really good care of it. Fully loaded. It's got the sunroof, you know. It's got a 5th wheel hitch in it, gooseneck hitch. But just immaculate. Had the windshield replaced. And I've got it, you know, little thing. I got to get the whole button in. It's probably floating around the floor in here somewhere, but really, really clean. But yeah, the insurance agent, like, they marked this stupid rubber bumper. This was marked. I don't know why. It's fine. The wheel, which is, you know, I could see that that ball joint taking a hit when the wheel looks like this. Punctured the tire. He just had brand new tires put on it. Well, the one rim cost me $375 plus shipping, and then the tire I got matched, and it was $400. So the tire and rim probably equal the cost of the other parts I put into this. The bumper I just kind of pushed back straight. I got a cross member from a local junkyard. Adjusted the hood, adjusted the fender, because it's probably still tweaked a little, but good enough to pass the brake and light inspection with no adjustments needed, which I was surprised. But yeah, you know, let me mark the inner wheel well. Who cares? Like, I don't see anything wrong with it. You know, this was folded up, and this gap was off, but I straightened it back out. No big deal. I mean, the only thing I could see wrong with it now are these, you know, these end lenses are kind of cracked, but not enough to fail brake and light inspection. He had some Sinister diesel charge pipes put on, but you know, I had to get it smogged, so I had to rip all that shit out. It had a SCT or something tuner for it. I got it in here somewhere. Yeah. Had a tuner in it, and you know, I plugged it in, put the stock tune back in it for smog and everything, and of course that's where it's gonna stay, because we're in California and I'm a law-abiding citizen. But yeah, I've got ball joints. I slapped the ball joints in it. Eventually I'll get these little bumper strips ordered. They're like $160 a piece from Ford. It's fucking ridiculous, but it looks good. Nice truck. I've got the brake and light inspection done, got the smog done. What the hell else was there? I might have to get it weighed, but it was originally sold in California, so hopefully not, because the VIN verification, because it's coming from out of state, I'm gonna have to have the VIN inspection, but shouldn't be any big deal. Salvage title, but you know, I'm gonna run this fucking pig until there's nothing left to salvage. Yes, it's a 6.0, but this one does not actually have head studs. He has had the fuel injector control module changed, fuel injector harness changed. He got a new, supposedly the best EGR cooler they make for these trucks. The last of the 07s, they did actually head stud, or that's what I was told. I went to Ford, gave them the VIN number. They said no, but the replacement engine, if I was to get it replaced, would be a studded engine, and that's the case with those. They never left the factory studded. So he's pulled, you know, a trailer with this a couple times, but he's never partied in it. I'm not gonna party in it. It's a nice truck. Gonna try to keep it nice, which means staying out of it. The throttle and the cab completely. Just, I've got other rigs I need to get going. I've got my IDI. I've got to clean the shop out this week. I've had a bunch of projects. I had my neighbor's Audi that had to do a motor and subframe swap in that. Got that done on a Sunday. Had to drive down to Monterey, paint one of my boss's house there on Pebble Beach, like in Pebble Beach. It's a nice house. Had to paint it, and then came back, and my wife's car, her Audi, finally needed a smog, and the check engine light's been on for a while. I knew it was a gas cap issue, and I knew it was a coolant temp sensor issue. But other than that, you know, the car leaked a little bit of oil here and there. Just whatever. It didn't affect the way it drove, so we drove it. Well, it's finally time to smog it, so I had to go change that stuff. Well, a week before, it developed a good water leak, which it never really had. So dove into it a little bit, and coming out of the block into the heater core, hose had finally let loose. got a little pinhole, and it was, you know, swelled up and got a pinhole. It was squirting on an oil leak, just dripping shit everywhere. Looked into those because I've never really worked on one. Looked into it and found some other common leak items that were bound to leak. Oil filter housing, which the oil cooler bolts to. Pulled that oil cooler off, and it was completely packed full of just garbage from the last flush I did on it. Apparently it all got stuck in there. So I had to clean it out and get new housing and new thermostat housing, all that shit, put it back together, get it some miles on it, got it smogged. And now I've got to do this, get it ready, because we're going back to Monterey to tear out the porch. It was on the house we painted, or the rear deck. Gonna be some more work on that, but won't be filming any of that. At least not for YouTube. It's none of your damn business. But got a bunch of seed, got fields ready to. Some of them are planted, some of them still need disked. I've got a guy that leases these fields, and we're just paying him to do some of the other stuff that we wanted done. So good dude, local dude, does a great job. Him and his dad. Their fields don't look like my shop, so that's, you know, that's a good thing. Fuck. Not looking forward to this. I had filled my wife's car up with oil at Audi. I'd forgot the high pressure, or not high pressure, just the oil pressure sensor. Kept bumping it to try to build up pressure in the oil. Finally cranked it, let it run for a minute. Sounded like shit, like it didn't have oil pressure. Shut it off, look under. Just. So, you know, what's another fucking gallon of oil? Threw that in there, got the pressure sensor in there. Runs good. But one of the things I had to do, it sounded like a homeless guy dragging just a shopping cart full of cans. And the reason for that was, I know the part's here somewhere. There's a thermostat housing. You know, oh fuck, I did it outside as a matter of fact. Anyway, the tensioner, just the regular belt tensioner, you know, it sounded like it was a timing chain, like I needed to replace that tensioner. So I was getting worried, but it was coming from the front. The front of those engines have a belt, the back is the chain. And you know, I could see every time that I would hear this noise that this tensioner was just clacking up against itself. So I figured that was it, got it changed, and lo and behold, it shut right the fuck up. Doesn't sound like a homeless guy pushing a shopping cart of cans anymore, but now that thing shut the fuck up, see, it was beating right there, just clacking on that. So, you know, now that that's quieted up, now I can hear that the timing chain that's at the back of those engines up against the firewall, I can hear that that chain is stretched, or the tensioner's at its limits, or, you know, probably a little bit of both, or the gasket's leaking, whatever. It needs to be changed. So eventually gonna have to get around to that. But yeah, I've got to get the shop cleaned out. We've got other projects we've got to get in here. Luckily, I've had enough outside shop work to get done last few weeks. Had good weather, but the weather's going to get bad. I need to get this shop douched out and make room. I've got to get this John Deere engine built, and then another John Deere engine for another tractor we got. Got 2 engine builds to do. Oh, and my fucking IDI. I've got to... I think this was in a video I did. I'll update on it. She's fucking hurt. See all the coming out of the pre-cups. Some of them worse than others. but they're melted. It's no good. Oh yeah, that one's pretty bad. They've got hot. Not only that, but you know, these engines, you spin them. See how she come up above deck height? Well, it's good. That's how you know it's good. Oh, well, that one right there. I hit the wrong damn button on my phone. But she's not very high above there in this one. Never even comes close to the top of the cylinder. So we've got issues. And this thing ran decent. It just had smoke coming out of one cylinder, and it was, yeah, she come up. All of these came up except that one. Let's see, as she was running, was that the one that was smoking? No. I believe that one was smoking because I had the engine facing this way, flywheel to me, starting it on this side, I believe. There's that filter housing, plastic piece of shit. Anyway, I don't know where to go from here. I might just pull the motor out of my 92, because it's got one dead hole, and there's one good piston in here. There's one. So hopefully the other motor has just got a torched hole in it, and I can get it swapped out. If not, I mean, shit, I'm still looking for a block. So, I mean, yeah, I could do that one, but now I got to get I don't have any good rods. I don't have any other good pistons. The other motor that was seized up, I had to beat on those to get them out. There's no good pistons. I wouldn't trust the rods. So I still need a decent roller, at least. I need at least a decent short block. I do have a crank. I don't know what's up with that guy not protruding the cylinder. I'm guessing it's a bent rod. It didn't sound like it had a spun bearing. It just had valve stem seal was just blown the fuck apart, and it was just dripping oil down, well, all the cylinders, but it was leaking on the intake on one pretty good, and it was actually trying to burn that oil. So that's where we're at. But for now, we're gonna get this butte pulled in. Well, Daddy always said if it don't fit, force it. So we'll get it in and get that changed out. And then hopefully the alignment isn't off too bad. I know it's probably going to, well, it should just move my steering wheel, really. Because, popping the rest of the shit off, I'm not messing with any of the alignment. I know it's going to change camber slightly, which will pull on the adjusting sleeve, your drag link, essentially. I know the drag's down to 1, and the other, whatever, the coupling link, the fucking steering link, it'll pull the other wheel with it. And right now, we talked about it, and I brought it in. My steering wheel was way off after I changed everything. He said it's dead nuts, and we talked about what it would do when I changed this, and camber comes back out. So it's got my steering wheel just to the left, and it should straighten it out once I put this in. Hopefully I don't need those caster camber alignment bushings, but we'll see. Get it close enough to where I'm not getting a bunch of tire wear. and address it after this next trip to Monterey, 'cause we're probably gonna go down in this. We'll be back. In case there was any question of whether or not this ball joint needed to be replaced. You see that? Let me set you front and center. Now, I'm gonna do my best to hold this as steady as possible. Oh, she dancing. So, there's your problem. Well, I got the son of a bitch off of there. Got the lower out. She's seen better days. And this upper, you can see it's fucking, she bent. So that's where my camber was coming from. Maybe even a little caster, depending on how she bent, but she's fighting bad. So I gotta go get a ball joint tool. I put it in my press, but shit was getting dangerous. I had to stand in front of it, and I didn't feel like breaking a gut. So we'll get it back together tomorrow.